part of the game you're practicing, whether it's your long game, your short game, putting, specialty shots, is to go to the practice tee with some kind of game plan. If you just go out to beat balls, you're getting exercise, you're not really practicing. So it's very important, no matter what your handicap level is, when you go to the practice tee, to have a game plan. You're here for a purpose. I'm going to work on this part of my game. I'm going to work on this part of my swing. It's important to have a target when you go to practice, because if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. And this is true whether you're chipping, whether you're pitching, or whether you're hitting drivers. When you're on the practice tee, create an imaginary fairway so you have something to aim at. And then finally, when you go out there, before you go to practice, think about what you're going to do. Just don't run to the tee, throw a bunch of balls down, and start making swings. You're getting exercise. You're not helping your game if you do it that way. Practice with a purpose. I know you're going to play better. You know, one of the amazing things about my son Claude, he can play golf either left-handed or right-handed. He's going to hit a right-handed shot here for you, and we're going to talk about a common fault that we see in most average golfers. Now there's a ball that's sliced to the right, you fell away from it. The reason being is you were standing too far from that ball. What happens when you stand too far from it? Gravity wants to pull you towards the ground. You fight that by standing up and falling back and cutting across. Take this set up again. Now let your right hand come off the club. As you can see, his right hand is back here by his left. Let's have you move in a little bit closer. Now use this drill. There we go. You see the right hand should come off right across from where it was on the club. This is a good guide for you to see how far you stood from the ball. The other thing, because Claude was too far away from the ball, he ended up falling away from the shot. All right, Claude, let's hit one from here. Put a good swing on it. Good swing. What we saw, because of him being too far from the ball, he wasn't able to make a good aggressive move back into the ball. We see this all the time in our schools.
I think most people feel like if they get further away, they can get a little more power and create a little more distance. And one of the big problems we see in the average golfers, they're a little off balance as they hit most of their shots. So if you can get in and feel like your weight's more on the balls of your feet and centered, very similar to an athletic stance, taking a cue from baseball where hitters in baseball get their weight out over their feet this way. So by getting in this position, it gives you a little better chance as you follow through to finish with your weight going forward and not falling back.
Good point to remember. Your weight always goes in the direction the club's going. On that first shot, because Claude was too far from the ball, he fell back away from it, cut across, and hit a weak slice. If you practice that, it'll help you drive better.
Remember, when you stand too far from the ball, you tend to fall backwards. So do Butch's drill. Drop one hand and make sure it comes off right where it was on the club. This will dictate where you need to stand and help you move through the ball.
I think the philosophy that I have is the same philosophy that my father taught my brothers and I, that I've taught my son and everybody that works for me, is you have to have fun at this game. You have to create an atmosphere of fun. You have to realize that less is more when you teach. What I mean by that is don't give a student so much that he can't keep up with it. Find out what's the biggest problem in his swing and let's fix it. And if it takes 4 lessons to do it, keep working on the same thing. I can honestly tell you, I've been with Tiger Woods, this is our 8th year now, and we are still working on the same things. We're just trying to improve them. The other thing I would say is you have to be a professional at all times. You have to realize that your students come to you for help. You have to give them 100% of your effort, 100% of your attention. And if you do that, everyone's going to succeed. You're going to become a better instructor. They're going to learn more. They're going to have more fun. And the whole game of golf just keeps going on. I've got about a 190-yard shot here, a little bit uphill. About a 3-iron shot for me. Now you have a choice here. If you carry a utility wood like I do, you can either hit your long iron or hit your utility wood. I'm going to talk about both shots and show you how you can hit them. Most people are afraid to hit the long irons because of the fact the club face looks a lot smaller and it doesn't have a lot of loft on it. So they end up trying to swing hard because they think that's what they have to do to get the ball in the air. The secret to hitting successful long irons is to swing within yourself, to make a smooth, rhythmic swing, make solid contact, the ball will go in the air, go the proper distance. Now what you have to realize, how far you hit your 3-iron could be over 200 yards, it could only be 160 or 70 yards. But for me, about a 190-yard shot is a 3-iron shot, and I'm going to show you what I think of when I get ready to hit this shot. Number one, what I have to do is go back to my basic fundamentals. I want to use my railroad track alignment, outer track club face, inner track body line. Ball position just inside the left heel, kind of right in the area of the swoosh on my shirt. As I said, we want to make a smooth swing. I don't want you to try and force this shot. If you hit the ball solidly with a 3-iron, it's going to take off, get in the air, and you're going to hit a good shot. For fundamentals, we're going to do the same thing we've done with a driver and the same thing we did with a fairway wood. We're going to take our setup, good posture, nice leg flex. Still working on the width in our swing, good full turn in our shoulders. I want you really to be cautious to make sure you finish this wind up at the back of the swing. As I said, when most people get these long irons, they tend to think they have to hit them hard, and they don't finish this backswing. So the big key for this long iron shot to get the most power out of your game is to finish your wind up and then just unwind and face your target. The ball is actually just going to get on the way of the club as you come through. Don't try and force it. Don't try and lift the ball up in the air. Let me hit one for you. 190-yard 3-iron shot. Well, that's pretty good right there. Right on the green. Long iron shots. Finish the turn, swing within yourself.
With long irons, position the ball just inside your front foot. With good posture and nice leg flex, try to make a full turn with your shoulders. Finish your backswing. Now, just let the ball get in the way of the club on the downswing.
Now let me show you what else we can do from here. This same distance, if you carry a utility club like I do, I have a 20-degree lofted fairway wood, which goes about the same distance. The nice thing about this club is the way it sits in behind the ball. Because the head is bigger, it's easier to hit, or gives you the feeling that it's easier to hit. We're not going to do anything different. We're going to try and finish this turn and make a good smooth swing. One of the things we've talked about in this segment about getting the most power out of your swing is swinging within yourself and making good solid contact. Let's play the same distance shot with the 20-degree utility wood. Same setup. See if I can finish my turn and hit a good shot. What we've seen is the ball goes higher in the air, comes down a little softer. Either one of these shots will work for you. If you don't have confidence in your long iron, get yourself a utility wood. It'll go a little higher in the air, be a little easier to hit for you. I'm going to show you one more shot now that you can play from this distance. This is a shot that the announcers on TV have talked about Tiger Woods playing for the last 2 years. I'm going to show you how to hit this low, stinging 3-iron shot, just in case you're playing the wind and you need to hit a low one. Couple things we're going to do different, and this really fits in with our power segment here, this real low 3-iron shot. I'm going to play the ball back in my stance a little more with my hands a little more ahead. As I come into this ball, I'm going to try and stay a little taller with my right side and cover this ball more. And then I'm going to make an abbreviated follow-through. I can probably hit this ball this 190 yards or maybe even 200 yards, but it's going to have to roll a little at the end. This is how we hit the low one. Ball back in our stance. I'm going to try and cover this shot more with my right side and abbreviate the follow-through. The low, stinging long iron shot. You don't need it very often, but practice it. It'll be a great weapon in your arsenal of power.
To hit a low 3-iron shot, play the ball a little more back in your stance. Stay taller through the downswing, cover the ball at impact, and abbreviate your follow-through.
One of the important things that you need to remember, and probably the most important thing, is when you get off in the rough like this and you have a lie this bad, where I can't even really get the club squarely on the ball. The main objective is to get the ball back in the fairway, back in play where you can go with your next shot to the green. You have to take a very lofted club. I'm going to take an 8-iron here. I probably won't be able to hit this 8-iron 115, 120 yards out of this lie, and I've got to do a couple things different than I would on a normal 8-iron shot. First of all, I'm going to play this ball back in my stance, just a little back of center. I'm going to actually open the club face a little before I grip it so that I can really make sure that this club comes in a little open. What happens in this high grass like this is the grass wants to wrap around the hosel of the club. The toe tends to go over. Ball doesn't get up in the air, doesn't go very far, sometimes doesn't even get out of the grass. So it's important to play your ball back in your stance, club face open. I'm going to create a more upright swing so I can beat down on this ball. The last thing I want you to remember is you have to hold very firmly with your left hand because you don't want to let this club release over. You want to hold it through the ball to jump the ball up out of the grass. Let me hit it for you. Club face open, ball back in my stance. Pretty steep backswing. Hit right down and through. Remember, when you get in this situation, get your ball back in play, you shoot lower scores.
When you have a bad lie in the rough, just get the ball back into play. For this lie, take a lofted club and play the ball back in your stance. Open the club face in order to get through the high grass. Swing more upright in order to beat down on the ball. Don't let the club release during the follow-through. This will help the ball jump out of the grass.
You know, my feeling on teaching golf is you have to create an environment that's fun. You have to create an environment where people have a good time. After all, that's why we play golf, to have fun. Sometimes people are so intense that they don't enjoy themselves. And I think one of the things I've tried to do in my teaching of the game of golf is create an atmosphere where you're having a good time. If you're having a good time, you learn better. And I think it's very important. And then the other thing that I think is important is not confusing your students. I learned many years ago from my father that the secret to teaching this great game is if you can teach at a second grade level, meaning someone in the second grade could understand you, you get your point across better. I think today we hear people trying to impress you with their vocabulary and how much they know, and they tend to confuse the student. Golf is a very difficult game, so the easier we can make it for our students to understand, the easier it is for them to learn. And then we create the fun atmosphere where they have a good time and they learn, and that's what golf's all about. One of the big problems I see in teaching when people have little 90-yard wedge shots like this is they tend to make much too long a swing, almost the same length of swing for this 90-yard shot than they would with their driver, which means they have to decel into the ball, usually causing them to throw their hands at the shot, hit behind it, chunk it, and not hit it far enough. What you want to remember when you're hitting these wedge shots is you don't need a full backswing, you do need to accelerate through the ball. What you want to do set up wise is play the ball about the middle of your stance. Hands are going to be just slightly forward. You only want to take the club back about halfway and then accelerate right through. The important thing to remember when you're playing these wedge shots into the green, don't make a long swing. Shorter swing, good acceleration. You make good contact, you get it up by the hole.
When hitting a short wedge shot, position the ball in the middle of your stance, press your hands slightly forward. Now shorten your backswing, only take it back about halfway, and be sure to accelerate through.
I want to talk to you about an uphill lie in the bunker. Difficult shot. You have to do a few things differently on this shot than you would on a normal bunker shot. The first thing you have to do is tilt your shoulders to create an equal playing field. What I mean by this is we've got to get on the same level of slope that the ball's on. Swing-wise, I'm going to try and swing the club up the slope. If I was to come in here and stand square, I'd end up sticking the club in the ground into the slope of the bunker, probably not getting the ball out of the bunker. I'm going to play this ball about the middle of my stance, and the last thing I have to tell you, because of swinging up the slope, this ball is going to come out much higher. So I've got to hit it a little bit harder. Create an equal playing field. Levels are the same, shoulder level, the level of the slope that the ball's on. Now I want to swing up the slope. You'll use this method when you get in the bunker on these uphill lies. Remember, create that equal playing field, swing up the slope. Your bunker game's going to improve tremendously.
When you have an uphill lie in a bunker, position your body on the same slope. Play the ball in the middle of your stance. Now swing hard and up the slope.
Well, I played the tour from 1969 to 1971. I always jokingly say I did a wonderful thing for the PGA Tour in '71. I left it because I wasn't the most successful player in the world. What I had decided to do was give it 100% of effort and to see if I was good enough to play until my daughter, Michael Ann, was of school age. And then I had to make a decision. Did I want to continue on as a tour player, or did I want to go into teaching, which was really the thing that I loved to do? The BC Open in 1971 was the first time they held that tournament, which is now a full-fledged major tournament on the tour. At that time, it was what they called a satellite tournament. It was interesting because it's in upstate New York, in Endicott, New York. And even in this little town of Endicott in 1971, they had it on television. And they had all these people out there, and so it was kind of fun. I won in a playoff with 4 other players, which for me, it's listed in the PGA Tour book as a win. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a tour win because it was only a one-day event, but that's all it was in those days. And on that particular day, I beat everybody else that was there. I think that's what's really helped me teaching tour players, is because I have played the tour. I have played in major championships. I've been on that side of the ropes. I know what they go through mentally as well as physically. And I think that's given me an advantage when I teach tour players because I understand what they're going through. Here's an interesting scenario. Say your ball rolls through the green, back up against the fringe. You've got a shot that's not far off the green to go to this flag, but you've backed up into this high grass around the green. Let me show you the shot I showed Tiger Woods, the 3-wood. That's right, the 3-wood chip. Why is this a good shot? The lie dictates the situation. My balls roll up into this Bermuda grass, and I couldn't get my putter on this. If I hit a wedge, I'd have to pick it straight up and drop it down on the ball. My 3-wood has 13 degrees of loft on it. The reason it works good, it's got a nice round sole that sits in behind the ball. There's nothing there to hang up when it comes through the grass. It slides through the grass. The loft of the club gets the ball just up in the air a little bit, lets it roll like a putt. The 3-wood chip, let me show it to you. We're going to have to stand a little closer to the ball, which means we're going to have to be straighter up and down, spine angle-wise, because of the length of the shaft. I'm going to use my putter grip, and I'm going to play the ball fairly back in my stance, my hands just a little ahead. Weight on my left side, stroke back, and stroke through. Let me have it. Hey, the 3-wood chip. It works for Tiger Woods. It works for me. Try it. I know it'll work for you.